Okay, people. So, anyway, it is now June 14th, 2000 I was going to say 16. No, it's 2019. And I'm going to address my Punjabi stalker. Because the reason I say stalker, people, is because this person has been supposedly calling themselves a Punjabi, speaking on behalf of the Punjabi culture. Right? And is quick to call me white trash when I don't bow down and kiss this person's ass. Now, I'm assuming that the person is a male. I'm assuming. But males don't normally take the time to, first of all, stalk people on a computer in light of I already have the Duncan clan and that crew doing it. And now with the Mari, that crew on the father's side doing it on top of just your regular YouTube troll. Right? But because I went off and I did a video, and I'm going to do more of them, people. I was just out getting some dolls for my little granddaughter. That's, and I brought my camera with me because it's all over. It's all over the place, and this is just up in this area, right? When you get out into Richmond, now you're getting into more Chinese. It's just a really high concentration of Chinese people with their own politics. But when you're out in the Surrey area and, out in this area, it's little India. That's what's happening. And I don't want to get into it's genocide in Canada and blah, because it is. It's a form of genocide, it's a form of political genocide that is attacking vulnerable families, right? One by one, picking us off to the point where half of my family is already dead and gone. Or on the doorsteps of death, right? Or on the doorsteps of being used as a commodity for more organs and body tissues due to the injury of probably from a Punjabi in a hospital setting. But the person that's been watching my videos, they don't want to acknowledge that because they don't like to hear another person's truth. It's all about their truth and nothing else. It's what's preached in their temples and nothing else. It's what's preached and told and taught in their Khalsa schools and nothing else. It's what they talk among themselves in the parks or wherever they go and congregate as a group that they call a community. Yeah, it's their community, but it doesn't belong to anybody else because you don't fit in with their community because it is their community. Although this person is trying to make it sound like they're a loving race that wraps their arms around the whole of the community, which is not true. Because if that was true, we would not be having such a housing crisis where it's being gouged for profit through illegal money laundering of drugs, fentanyl, heroin. Heroin is a Punjabi problem. Heroin has been imported from India. If you Google Punjabi and heroin, you will see that on the voters block, voters don't care about jobs. They don't care about eating. What they care about is the crises that they're having in Punjab due to heroin. Well, as they come to Canada, they brought their friend with them. So, when we look at the heroin crises, you can say that a large portion of it, I wouldn't say all of it, but a very large portion of it came directly from the Punjabis themselves. And they profiteered off of those heroin sales, and they made good money and invested in houses through their network of colluded family members and friends to friends to friends. Because you have to remember, they marry for money. They use their daughters as commodities to make money. And that's why every now and then they'll do their honor killing to put into check the whole community, their community, that the girls cannot stray and date outside the race. Well, maybe they might stray and date outside the race, but God forbid if they were to marry somebody that didn't look like them. Because there is a good possibility they won't survive that experience. They also abort their girl children for profit, because for some reason within the culture, within the community of the South Asians, it's not just Punjabis, it's Hindus, it's all of India, in their minds, right, in their backward thinking, China does it too, right? They think, for some reason, by having a male, that brings status and more money. If you notice, it always goes back to money. So anyway, as a low-income person, renting your average house, I guess you could say. And what I mean by low income, I'm like, we're, you know, between John and myself and our two incomes as my kids were growing up, you know, under $40,000 a year, which isn't technically low income per se. It's almost at the medium income, but it wasn't quite. And it wasn't always like that. You know, at times it was even less than that, right? I mean, at one point I went into $40,000 in debt because I was off welfare for 6 years, working like a dog on a non-profit. That is really very universal. But of course, the Punjabi community didn't see that because, you know, it wasn't about them. It wasn't about how it could make them rich. And this is why I'm doing this video, people, because if this person can sit up there, and this is what they wrote. Okay, I'm not going to rush with this video. And this came in 2 days ago because they were watching my video asking who's living in these multi-million-dollar homes that are being, you know, built like Lego blocks, right? All over the fucking province, cutting down 50,000 trees, not to mention the 50,000 that they've already cut down, right? And there's proof that they've cut them down because there are no bees left out here, people. No bees. My yard is completely empty of bees. Very few birds. Whose fault is that? Sure in the hell isn't mine. I feed the bees. I plant fucking food and flour and all those things, right? What do you call? I put nutrients into the ground and I provide habitats for the bees to be able to make their colonies in terms of wild bees, right? But the thing is, wherever they were nesting, those nests have been destroyed as they're tearing down all these trees to build housing that nobody can afford except a non-speaking immigrant. Because that non-speaking immigrant has their friends and their family and their community already situated in BC, right? That have amassed great wealth over a period of 100 years, even though they're still crying racism. Nobody's discriminating against them. Trust me, people, okay? They are a strong voting bloc in terms of when they want something, they could put the pressure on the politicians to get what they fucking want. And right now, they're blaming the Chinese for this housing crisis because they don't want to clean up their own backyards, even though they're still running heroin through the community. Are all of them running heroin? Well, obviously not, right? But there are a lot of them that are. And there is also a lot of them that are addicted to heroin. The only thing is, you don't see it because they keep them hidden, those people, in their monster homes in a back fucking room, like a dirty secret. And they don't talk about it, people, okay? But if you go to a methadone clinic where they go, you'll see a whole drove of them, all men, come in, taking like high doses of methadone just to curb their addictions to heroin. So anyway, you know, on the lower end of the income scale, you get a lower end income house, right? You know, anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500, right? That's what John and I would always pay, anywhere between $1,200 to $1,500 for a house. But, you know, there's a cost to that, people. There's a cost to that. Wally was actually a pretty good landlord. You know, he used to like to razz me and get me going, you know, but at the end of the day, he'd come through. You know, the porch needed to be fixed. He said, oh, you pay half, I pay half. I'm like, Wally, no, maybe the carpets, you know, I want new carpets. I'll do half on the carpet, right? You know, give me half, I'll pay half. I'll rip out the carpet, put the new, okay, I can maybe do that, but I'm not paying for no porch. So in the end, he came and he fixed the whole porch. He tore down the old porch and he had a new porch built, people. Well, you move into another house and you get a different landlord, and it's, if you don't like it, you can move. So you live in whatever it is that they leave you to live with. And it's like that with the Chinese community too, right? It's just some people as a collective feel that, and they justify it, oh, well, the house is old, don't want to spend too much money, or, you know, it's going to be tore down, so what's the point? Or, you know, I'm selling it, so get the fuck out because, you know, I made my money and it's time for you to move on. So, you know, to hell with that. I'm not fixing anything. You don't like it, you can move. So people, you know, they have nowhere to go. So they live with frustration, people. That's what happens. They live with frustration as they pay other people's mortgages to get fucking rich. As those people sit up there and talk about how hard they work to get rich. But they don't tell you how they've harmed others in that process by making the quality of living in the country that they migrate to terrible. And then after a while, it just gets worse and worse and worse to the point where we are now, where all these new homes are going up because the community, the Punjabi community, not the community people, not the whole of Surrey, but just the 300,000 Punjabis that all go to the one temple, okay? That's the community that is dictating the housing market to the point where people like me now, after paying off a house in my lifetime for somebody else's mortgage, is left with nothing, including I can't even find another house to go live in because the agenda is not that anymore. The agenda is to get as many of the community from Punjab into BC so that the community can prosper for themselves. Well, I go to the board director and I say, look, I can't talk to your community. I've been trying for 19 years to talk to your community, but anything I have to say goes in one ear and out the other ear when it comes to a universal school meal program, when it comes to safe housing for people in need, when it comes to children's programs, because you see, they don't need that stuff. They don't need a universal school meal program because, first of all, they don't even like the food that we fucking eat. Right? They don't. Why would they want to support a universal school meal program when they just want to eat their food and nothing else? Why would they want to support children's programs when they feel that they don't need them because they've got their kids over there doing their own thing in their own community with their own people? So they don't care about the nonprofit people. Why should they care about housing people that are being displaced by these houses being built up when they think in their mind it has to do with the government? Well, yeah, maybe the government should get on its fucking feet and put corruption in check. But they're not going to put the corruption in check, people. They're not going to stop the heroin being imported into British Columbia, Canada. They're not going to stop the fentanyl from being imported into the province of British Columbia, Canada. They're not going to stop anything because those people at the end of the day are a separate fucking community of a subculture to a subculture to a subculture that sit there and think that they're so entitled that just because they worked for a government for X amount of years, they deserve a $100,000 pension plan with all their benefits included and life insurance policies. So yeah, they're going to cater to the highest political force. And the Punjabi community is a very huge voting bloc. What the Punjabi community wants is what the Punjabi community gets. Because they want it. And they get it. And yeah, they worked hard for it. Yeah, they did initially, but they also got federal fucking programs when they first got here. Federal government helped them to buy houses, all this other stuff. A lot of people suffered at the hands of the Punjabis that, the windows weren't fixed. The pipes weren't fixed, right? You move into a yard and you find yourself in the fucking yard for 10 fucking years living in the fucking dirt more than you live in the fucking house and you're still in the fucking yard. And what you are facing? You're facing homelessness after you finish the fucking yard. So that somebody else can move in and say, oh, look how hard I worked. Right? It's just an example, people. It's just an example. One time, before I moved into this house, I moved out of that apartment, right? I went into a what is it called? A fourplex, right? Almost got electrocuted, people. Almost got killed because they had a grow op in there. Punjabi people had a freaking grow op in there. In the back of the shed, I went into the laundry room. Water was spraying all over the place. The dryer was going. The water was spraying into the fucking dryer. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. I went and got their heroin addicted freaking brother. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what. And I'm like, well, damn, you got to do something. Get out of my way. So I went in there, put my life on the fucking line to freaking turn the switch off. Pull out the fucking plugs so that the dryer would stop. So we wouldn't get electrocuted and the house burned down. Right? And then, because in my suite, the hydro kept going off on half the house. John's sitting in the dark, I'm sitting in the dark, and going to the bathroom in the fucking dark. 3 weeks later, light would come on 4 days, then it would go off again for 3 weeks. After that, I said, hey, John, something's going on. I think I'm going to call the city, because I almost got electrocuted, people. Right? City came, they picked up on it, but you know what? The city covered their ass. You know why the city covered their ass? Let them take out their little grow up, in the middle of the night. Well, the city was like, we're going to come by on this day, and you better make sure you don't have nothing that we can find. And so, yeah, they were like clearing out their fucking grow up in the middle of the fucking night. Right? And then started fucking harassing me. Blaming me that it was my fault that they almost lost their house. Because the city said, hey, you got this whole thing unwired properly. The house isn't grounded. You got, obviously you had something going on in there. And some crazy electrician that was another heroin addict was going around busting up all the fucking walls downstairs in the laundry room, right? Leaving his crack pipe broken all over and light bulbs and shit. Those fluorescent light bulbs? He just cracked them all over the place and left them for me to clean up. So I'm cleaning up fucking light bulbs with mercury now in them. And I'm paying rent for this, people. As John and Joan are living in the dark. We're all living in the fucking dark. And then I move in here. And not even within the first 6 months of fucking moving into this place. What do I get? You don't like it, you can move. You don't like it, you can move. You don't like it, you can move. So I learned to suck it up. Because I've been sucking it up. So yeah, they're rich now. Right? They're rich. $2 million for this house, no fucking problem. Where's my ass? Out on the fucking streets after I paid off the fucking mortgage for the last 10 years. Put 10 years in this yard for nothing. Even if they sell the house, they tear down the house, I know the fucking yard means nothing. And you know what? At the rate we're going with no bees in the yard, it means nothing. What is the point of having a yard if there's no bees? Whose fault is that? Who are the Punjabis gonna blame? Me? Because I didn't plant the right fucking flower? So anyway, this is what this guy has to say. Talk about being passive-aggressive with me. No, you're the one hiding behind the fucking computer, right? And that's another thing. You know, you want to run around, call yourself victim, all this other shit? Let me tell you something. You know, when the young people go out and they go to the party, or they go to the bars and all this other shit, right? You know, just anybody and everybody. Well, let me tell you something. The Punjabis come, the young Punjabis, right? The men, you know, with their little girlfriends that they control and they abuse, that the older Punjabi community does nothing about. Andre, turn that down, right? And all they want to do is fight, pick fights. They bring weapons with them. They crash the parties. Why is that, people? Why? Because they're antisocial. Because they're segregated. The older community has segregated themselves and their kids. They are teaching their kids that we are white trash. Even though we rent their houses and pay their mortgages for them and end up homeless while we do it. Doesn't matter how much we work. Nope, because that's not what's important to them. Nothing that is what's related to me, whether it's the nonprofit, no matter how good the intentions are, if it doesn't benefit the community directly in terms of the Punjabi community, they don't want it. That's why they turned Wally away when he took the nonprofit to the temple. Their mission was to pamper that man that supposedly was hooked up to machines. For all we know, maybe they just made him look like he was alive when in fact he was probably dead, and then they just fundraised for $500,000 around that man, right? And that's why they didn't let nobody approach him in the fucking temple, because they wanted to hide the truth. I wouldn't put it past them. Anyway, he comes in and this guy says, "Oh, I normally enjoy watching your videos, but your attitude in this video is quite repulsive." Yeah, quite repulsive, I'm sure. I completely agree with what you're saying about how lower income people being driven to homelessness. You know what? It's beyond lower income people. You know, greed is like a cancer. With the development of all these new houses, and something definitely needs to be done. But that is an issue that needs to be tackled by the provincial government. Well, yeah, they need to rein in white-collar criminal activity, people. That's what they need to do. But they're not going to do that because they're just thinking about their own damn pension plans. That's the first thing Uncle John would tell you. Why are you being so passive-aggressive towards members of the Indo-Canadian community? Well, maybe because it's been 19 years, and I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of the games. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of false hope. I'm tired of being misled. You know, I'm tired of being abused. I'm tired of having, being gaslighted and having it rubbed in my face. I'm tired of being held emotionally hostage to the streets, right? You know, I'm tired of being afraid to live in my own fucking country. They have been a part of Canada for more than a century and have integrated well. Yeah, in their Kelsey schools, right? In their temples, at their Fasaski parade, right? Through their little network of what it means for them to be a community and contribute a lot to Canada. Well, I'm sure they pay a lot in taxes, but then they make a lot in rents and whatever they do to stimulate the economy. Right? Outside of that, I don't know what they contribute. Bringing in the next generation of slums that are equal to what looks like in their country, that's going to look like here in the next 40 to 50 years, I do not see it as a contribution. With no bees around, and absolutely no wildlife, and no fruit trees, and no nut trees. Let's put it into context, okay? They are wiping out the trees. They are wiping out the wildlife. They are wiping out the bees. They are wiping out the people that were born in this country below a certain income level. Do you consider this to be passive aggressive? Why? What do you want? What is passive aggressive? Should I talk like this? Is that how I should talk? Oh, well, you know, your young men, they go into a party and all they want to do is fight. All they want to do is just pull out knives and make threats on people and then smack their women around. But of course, we can't tell you that as a Punjabi person because that's too insulting to your integrity, right? You don't want to hear the truth about that because you like your young people to be thugs, right? Because that's how you raise them. That's what you teach them, that we're white trash and that we don't deserve to have any kind of fucking fun when they walk in the door. And of course, young people that are on the receiving end of that, they don't want to talk about that because then there's repercussions. You know, that little gang of fucking Indonesian thugs driving around in their $40,000, $60,000, $70,000 cars that their rich parents bought for them because they're spoiled, because their parents worked so hard by not fucking fixing the houses that they rent and make people live in squalor because the house is just going to be tore down anyway, so who fucking cares? As they live in monster homes, keeping up with the Punjabis. I'm being sarcastic. But you can't handle the truth though, right? You can't handle it. You can only handle your truth. As long as it's your truth, you're good. Integrated well. So no, I disagree. I do not feel just because you can walk by somebody and say hello does not mean that you're well integrated. Just because you fly, at the end of the day, you're going to go nest up over there and contribute a lot to Canada. Well, you need to list those contributions. Because I'm not going to say yay or nay outside of you pay taxes. You don't help with a universal school meal program. You don't help with establishing a universal housing initiative for people, regardless of whether they're white trash or not. You don't help with children's programs because your kids are already spoiled and don't need them, so why should you care, right? So tell me where you do help. Assuming that you're still watching my videos because you said you were no longer going to watch my videos because you can't handle my personality. But then your loved ones probably haven't been picked off and freaking pillaged like mine have. So, you know, there are two kinds of people in British Columbia, Canada. The ones that are doing the massacre and the ones being massacred. I'd say you're on the side with the one doing the massacre. I am on the side with the one being massacred. And that's why we can't relate. But yet, for some reason, you seem to think you can call me white trash. Not that I haven't been called that before. They have established a strong community in Canada, and more specifically, the Lower Mainland. It seems that you're just bitter and jealous that immigrants coming from second world countries like India, who have had far less opportunity than you white Canadian folk, are able to make smarter choices and work harder to where they are today. And then this person tells me to grow up. Well, first of all, again, you like to abort your children. You like to abort your girl children because you see your girl children as a deficit, as a burden, as something unwanted. Unless, of course, you keep a few around just so that you can, procreate. But outside of that, you want an army of men. All going to the same fucking school. Where nobody can go inside except them. And when they came in, a lot of these folks was like when Uncle John came in. You could have a job today, not have a job, go tomorrow and find a job. It's not like that anymore. You have to know people, to know people, to know people to get jobs. You could buy a house back then. You can't buy a house now unless you have at least $100,000 as a down payment. And that's just a minimum down payment. And that's not including a comparable income that the government will allow for you to buy that house. So again, where are all, what I'd like to know, where's the audit? Where's the fucking audit here, people? Life choices, smarter life choices. Oh, well, you know, we're middle class, and you're gonna marry this person over here. We're gonna stuff you into a cage like a fucking chicken in the middle of the fucking night, and we're just gonna let you guys duke it out. And because we're in Canada, it's all, you know, glossed over. Nobody fucking notices it because some of you will have the freedom to make the choice. But when you get into freaking India and you go deeper into the fucking culture, there's the real world for you, people. There's that backwards thinking, right? That's what they bring here. So there is no better choices with arranged marriage because you're doing it for money. There is no better choices with selective abortions because you're doing it for money, right? There is no freaking send my kid to a Kelsa school so my kid can, convince themselves that they're somehow much more special than everybody else around town so that when they go out in public and they start socializing in social fucking environments with everybody else in the community, the whole community, the thugs, the real thugs start to fucking come out of the woodwork and they're these little gangbangers with their knives and their guns as they're slapping their hoes around. The hoes around. They treat their girls like hoes. And then they go home and say, yes, Mom. Yes, Dad. Yes, Mom. Yes, Dad. Now give me the keys. Give me the car keys, Dad. That's what you teach your kids. Those are wonderful choices. Because it's all about money. Those kids just learn to grow up to be money hungry. That's it. And white-collar criminal activity is a broad spectrum. If you notice, the Criminal Code of Canada is a very thick book. And then, of course, I came in and I said, of course, this individual likes to make comments, right? Passive-aggressive. You want to call me passive-aggressive? No. You come in, you make comments, I make address comments, and then you turn around and you delete the whole shit, and then you want to come in and make another fucking comment and expect me to fucking comment? No, I'm copying and pasting, and your ass can sit there even though you're hiding out in the shadows. You're one of those Punjabi computer fucking Rambos, you know? You can't put a face to your comment. Right? But then you don't work on a legitimate non-profit. And if you did, it would only be for the Punjabi community and nobody else. Oh, well, we feed the people. Yeah, what? Okay, so I'm going to go hop on a bus with my little disabled grandchild and, you know, my orphan grandchild and, you know, and go to a temple where they're going to force me to wear something over my head so that I submit so I can go have a bowl of soup sitting on the floor. That's charity. As they turn me away with my nonprofit. And a little girl that looks like them. When they turned me away with Gari and that nonprofit, I vowed to myself I would never, ever, ever walk into another Punjabi temple with a headdress on. Ever. So, since I can't go into a Punjabi temple because I would refuse to wear a headdress, I would starve based on their charity. Because when it comes to any other kind of charity, I don't know what kind of fucking charity they're talking about. What? They support the Children's Hospital? Oh, please, don't talk to me about Fraser Health Authority. We just go into my videos. You can damn well see what goes on there. You are either the one doing the massacring or you're being massacred. And Fraser Health is the massacre. They massacring people left, right, and freaking fucking center. Of course, this individual likes to make comment, then remove them after I've taken the time to address a comment. And I left it. Didn't say anything. I thought they would just simply go away. But they didn't. They had to, come in and do a little jab, got it poking on, be passive-aggressive, accuse me of being passive-aggressive. Fuck no. I was in my car, driving around, telling you exactly like it is. And then I had to copy and paste it from as it comes in, right? Because I had a sneaky feeling that this person would do another fast one. Something a woman would do. This is something a woman would do. Men don't like to waste their time over this shit unless they're a fucking sissy. So I might be dealing with a sissy here. It's hard to say. I normally enjoy watching your videos. Oh, am I supposed to be grateful? Right? I don't do it for you to enjoy yourself. I do it to fucking educate people and to put it out there. The real deal. That's why I do it. But your attitude in this video is quite repulsive. Oh yeah, okay, I copied that down. I had to reinforce it. And then I answered, you're the one who comes to my channel, makes a comment, and then removes the whole thread after I've made comment to your post. So, considering you are playing games, you can convince yourself South Asian people are the victims. Because this is what this person is doing. Oh, we gotta have the month of April just to reinforce that we're black, like the African Americans in the United States of America, and we've done 400 years of slavery, and white people with their institutional racism have been picking on us this whole fucking time, and we're living in dire fucking poverty because of them, still, after all this time. Doesn't that sound like a familiar mantra? Right? So, anyway, federal government under the Trudeau likes those votes, wants those votes. So he bent down and kissed the Punjabis' asses and gave them their freaking month of April to run around feeling sorry for themselves as they amass great wealth. And then call me white trash for being fucking poor as they pillage my daughter's organs. And pollute the community with their heroin. And sidekick fentanyl. Because it's not just heroin that they're profiteering off of. Don't forget those thugs. And then he goes, and I had to copy and paste, because I knew this person would delete it. I'm not playing any games, nor did I once say anything about South Asian people being victims. No, you didn't come right out and say it, but you made sure you pointed out how hard they've worked and how they've contribute and how they're, they came in with much less and, they worked hard and, and I'm just a bitter old hag that's jealous because they've got something that I don't have. Well, you know what, people? There is such a thing as go to the fucking border, cross over, and call asylum. Get the fuck out of fucking Canada. I'm talking about me. If it gets that bad where I don't want to fucking be here anymore, I'll just cross over the fucking border and call asylum and do a Mexican or a Honduras or something like that and go start over in a different fucking country. Because I don't consider this to be my country anymore. I don't. You don't lose your loved ones year after fucking year, every 2 years or whatever it is, on a regular basis to the point where you can't even fucking go into the healthcare system and feel safe and then want to continue to live here and wait for it to happen again as you got people running around trying to convince themselves that somehow they are the epitome of what is right in society when they can't even fucking communicate with you because they don't want to. Because you're not a part of their community. You're just something to take advantage of. Whether it's paying their mortgage, buying their dope. They've had Sierra on the fucking hardwire for years. And now they've gone into organ harvesting as they build these houses. Our community, okay, I'm not playing games, nor did I once say anything about South Asian people being victims. Our community has worked extremely hard to get to where we are today. Yeah, I know, you almost fucking killed me when you were running that little fucking grow-up in a fucking shanty shack freaking fourplex, right, that was being, monitored with a fucking heroin addict themselves, right, as, they just, almost killed me, people. As they were stealing my hydro. That sounds like they were working really fucking hard. And then had the audacity to tell me that if I didn't like it, I could move. Well, I'd moved my family here. And what did I move into? A bunch of leaky fucking pipes, freaking outlets sparking, plumbing backing up. It took years to fix all that shit, but I had to hear the same crap. You don't like it? You can move. And I'm like, where the fuck do they learn this shit from? You don't like it? You can move. In their temples, people. That's how they talk to themselves in their fucking temples. You speak out on it, next thing you know it, you're getting an eviction notice. Right? It's like extortion. When you're not being gaslighted. It really irks me that you would make a video pinpointing members of the Indo-Canadian community for what? Well, because first of all, it's all Indo-Canadian people that are moving into these houses. Coming in from a third world country that's overpopulated, heating up with dead bees. Do they even have bees anymore in India? Because that problem is following them here. Because they sure the hell didn't fucking learn their lessons over there. Working hard, there you are again, you're the victim, and building decent homes for themselves. Exactly, for themselves. Government, when they first got here, gave them fucking incentives to get into the housing market for themselves. They got into the housing market, they used the housing market for their advantage, and they've been exploiting lower income people for years by renting out houses as they refuse to fix them properly. And when you tell that to them, they don't like it, and next thing you know it, you get booted out into the streets. Well, in those days, you could find another place to live, but not anymore. Not anymore, because it's genocide, it's political genocide in Canada now. So I'm risking by doing this video. And this is why I tell this board director, I'm done. I am done trying to talk to your community because they don't want to hear anything unless it benefits them directly. So therefore, if you talk to them, maybe they might listen to you in terms of what the Constitution says when it relates to the foundation, instead of looking at me and then all of a sudden just, no, she falls under the caste system. She's white. She's poor. You know, she's not married. Something is wrong with that girl. Go say that to the other board director. He looks like fucking you. And they'll still find something to bitch about because they did it with Wally. Because that's not the agenda. All you have to do is drive around in the fucking community and see what the agenda is. And the majority of these folks came to Canada probably 30 to 40 years ago. Yeah, some of them. Just like Uncle John. You can get a job today, lose a job today, get a job tomorrow. You could afford to buy a house. You could do all kinds of crazy shit back in those days. Not anymore. But these immigrants that are coming now, they've got their temple, right? They've got their Kelsa schools. They've got their, bubble. They're coming in to a fucking bubble. They're not coming into Canada. They're coming into a bubble that's in the middle and the inside is little India with their political fucking agenda. So what they need, they get. So that the Punjabi community can keep bragging on about how hard they fucking work. It only takes 10 guys to put in 10 grand each to get a fucking house. You know? Jimmy the fucking paperwork. Just Jimmy the fucking paperwork. You know, put a John Henry down here, even though half the information up in there isn't fucking true. That government will never fucking find out. Right? But, oh, no, sorry, Punjabis, they don't commit crimes. Not at all. They wear fucking turbans, right? They're honorable people, right? That's why they stick to themselves, because they're so fucking honorable. The majority of these folks come to Canada probably 30 to 40 years ago or longer and had to experience hardships that come along with moving to a new country, working low-paying jobs, learning new language, experiencing discrimination and racism. Yeah, okay, so hold it over my fucking head. Hold it over my kid's head. You know, who you gonna latch onto next and suck the lifeblood out of them because of what you're saying there? Right? I have to pay the debt of fucking the Eleanors in the world, even though it is the Eleanors that bring your kind the fucking organs that they need today in order so that they can continue to live. But yet you wanna punish me for Eleanor's crime in terms of institutional racism, because that's what you're talking about there. I never fucking participated in no institutional racism. Now that they have surpassed all of that and have worked their asses off to get, oh yeah, okay, yeah, right, I know, just that little grow up, we're almost got electrocuted, stealing my hydro, you know, had that crazy fucking junkie jumping all over the fucking roof, you know, screaming at the top of his lungs, looking down the fucking thing, looking into the bathroom, watching people pee, just some crazy shit going on, and because the guy was driving around in a big fucking Hummer, city didn't give a shit. They let him get away with the grow up. They had to fix their hydro problem, though. They had to run copper around the house and ground it. They had to rewire it, you know. But I'm sure once it was all said and done, they probably went back in there and fucking put in a new fucking grow up and then started stealing the tenants' freaking hydro again. And then when they're done doing that and they make their money, they're just going to kick out the tenants, say "c'est la vie," and then just tear down the house and build another monster home and talk about how hard they worked. Even though they destroyed countless lives by being shitty fucking landlords while they work so hard. I'm just using them as an example. Because there's a lot of those examples out there, people. That's something that the Punjabis don't like to talk about, though. Because it's not about integrity. It's not about morality. It's not about human kindness. It's not about being fair. It's about getting as much money as you can so that you can come back fucking 20 years later and brag about how hard you worked and how better off you are and how better you are than everybody else in the so-called fucking community, even though the ones doing the fucking bragging are under that bubble. Yet now they have surpassed all of that and have worked their asses off to get to where they are today. People like you can't seem to stand that. How pathetic. Trust me, people. You don't think I don't fucking sit here and think about crossing over the fucking border and calling asylum? That's my one escape. That or death. I have two escapes. Doing that or death. And I'm serious. But I have responsibilities, so I can't take neither, unless, of course, death takes me. And at the rate I'm going, this person, for all we know, could be putting a hit on me, because they can't handle the fucking truth. They're not going to go back to their fucking temple and talk about this crap, right? They're going to sit there and convince themselves they're the fucking victims after all this time, so that they can continue to amass great wealth, and then they can sit in a province with no bees. And I'll be the one getting the last laugh in death. Or I'll be standing on the other side of the border. Hey, I got the bees, you don't. Right? My son says, calm down, Mom, calm down. Canada is still the best place to be. Calm down. You don't want to go to the States, Mom. Just calm down. I'm like, shut up. You don't know what I want. And then they accuse me of being pathetic. And then, of course, I'm taking the bait. I say, I copied and pasted his, you haven't, or I copied mine. And then I just say, seriously, I don't have the time to debate with somebody that wants to get butt hurt over what I said. So I tried to disconnect. Right? I tried to disconnect, tried not to feed into it, right? Because I can see they're baiting me. But, of course, I'm agitated because it's like, it's like a sinking ship, people. It's like being in a sinking ship. And you're either going to sit there and just let the water encompass you and drown with the ship and just die, or you're going to struggle and fight before you die, right? It's one or the other, and fight or flight. And most people will just try and survive to that last bitter minute, your head just got a little, you're in the ship and it's under the water, and and it's just that little piece of spot where you can get your last few breaths of air. Well, that's pretty much where my life is at. Heroin is and then I say, heroin is a Punjabi problem, and so is illegal organ harvesting, right? They have in their country, in Punjab, because Punjab happens to be one of the richer areas, because it's all about money with the Punjabis, right? They have the technology to be harvesting organs, and they have been for a very long time. And then they brought that fucking technology with the same kind of freaking mindset. You're just white trash. Your children are unimportant. My children are more important because they go to a Kelsa school and yours don't. So therefore, if yours die, I'm going to capitalize off of that, because at the end of the fucking day, I want you dead too. So don't ask me for any help, because I'm Punjabi. Go to the temple and eat my meal. But before you do that, make sure you put on a fucking headscarf so that I can see that you submit to me. Not to God, but to me. No, I am not going to submit to you. I'm not. And if I lose my house because of this, well, we know where it came from the fucking Punjabi thugs. Heroin is a Punjabi problem. So is illegal organ harvesting, a problem that follows you. It came from your country and you brought it here and you destroyed my daughter. But I know you don't like to talk about that kind of stuff because for some reason your headdress gives you immunity to do as you all may please. 19 years is a long time for a whole lot of fucking nothing, except for maybe losing my daughter to the white-collar criminal activity that plagues BC. More than half of my family is either dead or near dead, and it won't be long before the story is forgotten. That's how people roll. Hold on a minute. So anyway, this person has already deleted their post. That's why I didn't want to take the bait, but anyway, I copied and paste, right? That's what I do with trolls. I copy and paste. And then eventually if I get fed up with it and I just block them. This person I haven't blocked yet. Anyway, came in and said, I said more than half of my family is either dead or near dead, and it won't be long before the story is forgotten. That's how people roll. And then they came in and they said, and I copied and pasted, right? From my, inbox. And guess what? I no longer have the time or interest to watch your videos. Boo-hoo. It kind of like, I know I have no longer time to, try and house you because you're not my responsibility, even though I moved into your country and I fed you and your children drugs and, I provided houses for you over the years, but I always made sure that there was things broken in there so that your family would fight and, your life would be hard and, because at the end of the day, all I was thinking about was money, 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 so that I could end up being old and teach my kids that the only thing that has value in life is money. In case you didn't know, I'm a long-time subscriber, okay? And viewer of your channels, okay? I've always commented positive things on your videos. I appreciate that. And have admired your hard work and love for your children. Really. That's why you were quick to call me white trash when you didn't like what I had to say. But no more. You're just a racist, bitter piece of white trash. Petty, pretty pathetic that immigrants coming from second world countries, exactly, with backward thinking, corruption in their pocket, with a bad attitude, and less opportunity, even though the federal government helped you to buy fucking half the houses you already own, have been able to create a good life for themselves and nobody else. Remember that. I went to their temple with a little girl that looked like them, and they turned her away for a man that was illegally in the country, that was presumably alive, hooked up to machines. But after Shimei, I am now wondering if that man was really alive and was just made to look alive so that they could milk the Punjabi community of their hard-earned cash in terms of donations to keep that man on fucking machines harboring in their temple. So the cops couldn't get him. I was there. I lived right across the fucking street from that shit. And a Canadian like yourself, whose family has been here for generations, is living a deplorable life. Good luck to you. Yeah, a deplorable life. I know. I'm working in a yard that's killing me. I've been working in it for 10 fucking years. I'm in the dirt constantly. I've been in the dirt for the last two days. That's probably why I'm agitated, because I'm extremely sore. Knowing that there are no bees in my yard and that whatever I'm doing is just going to be ripped apart in the next 5 to 10 years after somebody moves in and enjoys the fruit of my labor. And I'm being kicked out of my house for money. or I'm going to have to move because I won't be able to effectively look after Amari here. But if I have to move and go into the housing market, I'm not going to be able to afford anything. So chances are I'm going to lose my grandson now because, the way they got the system all set up is little kids like Amari go into the foster care system so those bubble women can make $3,000 a month, have all their expenses paid, and feed them tuna as they're experimenting with them with their MRI machines. Right? There's only two types of fucking fences here. You're either the ones being massacred or you're the ones doing the massacring. And then he says, good luck to me. Assuming that this is a man. Like I said, men don't normally do stuff like this. This is more like something like a woman would do. Unless, of course, the man is a sissy. And wants to break out and can't. Because they're nothing more than a computer Rambo anyway. When it comes to the computer aspect of it. And then I go, no, what I think is deplorable is what happens in hospitals, temporary care facilities, and old folks' homes for the love of that almighty dollar. In other words, when Uncle John was in the hospital and in that freaking care facility, 95 if not more percent of the people that were working in those facilities could not speak English, and if they could, it was not clear. And they sure in the hell didn't come from here. Were they all Punjabis? Obviously not. Some of them were from Philippines, some of them were Chinese, there was some brown, supposedly South Asian Punjabi that had a British accent. One was a Czechoslovakia that couldn't speak English properly, but yet she was making all the decisions for Uncle John. All on work visas, people. And that's a government problem. Because all they want is their pension plans. Upper union, that is. And same applies with illegal organ harvesting, not to mention getting rich off of drug money. But Punjabis don't sell drugs, they're just drug addicts. Right? They just hide them in their houses where nobody can see them. You only hear them at night screaming. As they're climbing the roof, looking down through the vents as people are going to the bathroom. That guy's name was Bobby. As they're running grow ops, stealing people's hydro as they pay rent to them. Yeah, okay. And then, when you call them on it, they say, well, if you don't like it, you can move. Because that's what their leaders teach them. So they can get more money. So they can come back and say, oh, look how hard we worked. You know? Bend to the corruption. Be an Eleanor and facilitate the kidnapping of old people for their assets. And the Punjabis will love you because then they can buy the houses at a discount price, being the old white people never get released from the healthcare system. Witnessed it, people. Uncle John wasn't the only one being illegally detained. And that is why it's called medical kidnapping. Then continue to flood the streets with heroin to pick off the white or native trash as druggies in the Punjabi community are hidden away like their dirty secret because it's all about false pride before it is about truth, as fentanyl is being blamed on the Chinese community as both ethnic groups conspire to get rid of white people, trash as they call us in general, as they harvest organs for even more cash under the table because to them there is no God. So who gives a fuck when you simply live for the moment to brag about what you do have? Dead body parts, broken down old men, and blood of a nation that to the Punjabi is just trash unless they are an Eleanor like them. Eleanor's not trash. What is she? White what? She's not white trash. Because she brings them fucking what they want. She allows them to do what they want because she's just as corrupt as them. Money is money. can't get those houses. This is me. Can't get those houses, those little bungalows, right? Unless the epitome of what is right in terms of white trash gets their bones. In other words, Eleanor gets her bone with Uncle John and makes sure that when the next old white person is targeted for their home, they're gonna turn the blind eye and let the fucking staff do what the fucking staff wants to do to get those homes, which will go up on the auction block, which will more than likely be bought by a Punjabi or a Chinese or someone like them. So they can run around town in that bubble within their own community, bragging to themselves what a wonderful fucking race they are as they kill their own children. And then when they're not killing their own children, they're corrupting them with their own fucking greed and self-pity. So that when their kids go out in the community and walk into a nightclub or walk into a party, the first thing that they want to fucking do is fight everybody. Because they gotta show everybody how tough and how rich they are and how smart, even though half of them can't fucking read and write English themselves. Unless, of course, they went to Kelsa school. And then I just put some general information out there about Eleanor and what she is so in terms of her employment position when it comes to the province of British Columbia, Canada, and why she got away with what she got away with. Uncle John was just a mean to facilitate the medical kidnapping of tens of thousands of old people across the province so that the elite can build their wealth off the backs of the misery they create for innocent lives. And then I provided a link to where my kids were asked to leave with the threat of security. They weren't asked to leave. They were told to leave with security coming up the fucking steps. Because Eleanor didn't want Uncle John coming back home because what she wanted was his money. And she got it. Shimei was just a commodity, a human receptacle to house organs. In other words, that was the reason she was born, people. It wasn't that she was born in a country where she could actually go out and create a life for herself. She was born to be a future receptacle as an organ holder, so that when it was time to need the organ, it was just simply, like a duck, taking shots at a fucking duck, right? Just pung, pung, pung. You need fucking 4 bodies, pung, 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 pung. That's what Shimei was born for. She's just a commodity. White trash with a little bit of black trash in her. All trash. Because it's below a certain income level, because you have to remember they marry for money. They abort their children for money. They kill their daughters for money. They teach their sons to be thugs for money. They bring drugs into the community for money. They build homes that nobody can afford for money. Everything is centered around money. They kill bees for money. Shimei was just a commodity, a human receptacle to house organs, so that the rich Punjabis can live as they share stories with the Eleanors, who are in the hospital beds waiting for livers. So you got a Punjabi in a hospital bed over here, and you got an Eleanor, a white bitch over here, and they're just like, oh yeah, we're just waiting for the receptacle to be fucking flushed out of their organs, and then, we'll go for coffee after it's all said and done, because we're the epitome of what is right in our society. We earned it. We're the ones who worked the hardest on the fucking planet here. We're the ones that are the most deserving. So they share their stories. Because neither one of them is trash. But Shimei is. Hospital staff made sure of that. With the Eleanors, who are in the hospital beds, waiting for livers, kidneys, heart valves, eyeballs, skin, and anything else these people can pillage from innocent lives to whom these people considered to be white trash or just trash in general. Was it worth it? And then I put John's obituary up there. Was it worth it, Eleanor? Then I put a video of Shimei calling for Uncle John as that Cheryl, fucking admitted that they took John from the temporary care ward and then directly took him to an emergency room because that was the cheapest place that they could house him for 4 months while they worked on the paperwork to steal his fucking money. The taxpayers paid for that. So why are you taking an old man that's supposedly supposed to be so fucking sick, putting him in on a fucking ferry and rushing him into an emergency on the other side? As he's having a nervous breakdown. Because he's telling you in a different video, which I supplied, that he wants to come home from where he started from before he went into the hospital, which was here. But it's all about money. Eleanor wanted that bone. She wanted that life insurance policy that Joan left John, that inheritance. She was hoping that John had a life insurance policy that she could steal, but he gave up on it because he knew what she was like. She didn't get it. They were not taking care of Shimei. And then I put down a video here. Why are healthcare staff doing this with how they were treating us with Shimei's body? And then I just reminded this person, Sissy, they were not taking care of Shimei. What they were doing was monitoring her body after it was embalmed by them to hide the signs of her body rotting on the machines. Just wanted to make a note of that. And then I put a little video link here with John getting a less than a 1-minute phone call talking about how he had been injured, right? Had been sick for months, right? And had lost all his memory since being transported over to that hospital in Victoria as they illegally detained him so that they could steal his money and trash his family. All for money. And then I just put in detestable business of illegal organ harvesting, transplantation continues in Punjab, right? And then illegal organ harvesting in China between life and death. And then guess what they did today? And this is why I'm doing the video. They deleted their comment, but those comments still remain. And I still stand by what I say. And if I lose my house because of this, we know why, people. Oh, and just as a final note, I was going to do a separate video on this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to make a simple note. I'll talk about it later. But I went to go talk to a mortician today, and one thing I can tell you is the mortician doesn't want to get involved in terms of what happened to Shimei. It fucking scared him. He tried to send me to the cops. I said, are you nuts? The cops are involved. Well, take it to the coroner. They should have came to the house and, blah, blah. And, well, they didn't. Well, where's her body? Let me look at her body. I said, it's ashes now. There's Shimei's body, people.